Are you not entertained? Your Tigers win game one in the Maui Invitational, sending them into the winner's bracket, defeating Iowa State in a matchup, which is just, I was going to say for the ages. It's probably a little hyperbolic, but it's amazing. 83-81, your Tigers win. We're going to talk about the score, the stats, and the storylines from this game, all coming up right now. War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we talk about the Auburn experience. What is the Auburn experience? It is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff to capture everything. And if you need me to put it into a finer point for you, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we do this evening, a late evening, for a reaction live stream where we are talking about Auburn men's basketball in game one, their game one, game three, technically, of the Maui Invitational. Auburn versus Iowa State. Your Tigers take down the Cyclones. Number 5 versus number 4, 4 Tigers, 5 Cyclones in a mega matchup, one of the best that the Maui Invitational has seen to date. And boy, did it live up to every bit of the hype with an incredible comeback and an incredible finish. So much to talk about in this game. So much to discuss, so many things to dive into. I'm sure so many of you have thoughts on this, things that you want to share. We're all kind of capturing everything in the moment right now, too, since it's a reaction stream. So there's a lot to discuss. Let us get into it. While you're coming into the stream, do us a couple favors. Make sure you smash that like button, especially after that incredible finish for this game. And of course, let us know that you're here and start dropping some comments, and we're going to talk about all these different things. Let's set the table for you tonight. We talk about the score, we talk about the stats, and we're going to focus on one stat in particular here. We're going to talk about a score, a stat, and a storyline, which I think tells the tape of this particular game. Your score, 83-81, Auburn beats Iowa State. The stat that I think is the most important from this game is probably going to be your free throws. The free throws being 82%, 18 for 22 from the field for Auburn, and a very good margin for them. We'll talk about that some more. And certainly the storyline is, yes, Janai Broom's great bucket at the end, but the reversal of first and second half scoring, Auburn literally reversing the course, completing their comeback. That is your storyline, that is your stat, and that is your score for Auburn versus Iowa State. So many things we can dive into here and start talking about. Let's see what you guys are saying. So many people are just celebrating right now, which is, of course, very, very appropriate. So many fine people already here. Thank you guys for joining us. WT says, what a heart attack of a game. Of course, it is a heart attack of the game, but boy, oh boy, what did we just watch? An incredible game. Can I just for a second just talk about this for everybody? You just witnessed not one, but 2 comebacks, because the first one was against Houston and it wasn't as big of a deficit, but 2 comebacks on the road. Yes, technically at neutral sites. Houston was in Houston, but at a neutral site there. But your Tigers have gone on the road and gotten down, faced adversity, some off the field, or excuse me, off the court, and then some just on the court, and found a way to come back. How about this? Look at this right here. I'm going to find the person who pointed this out. I think it was Stan. Down by 18, and I think that is the correct most deficit they had, and came all the way back. Folks, they didn't have their first lead, I think, until, what was it, 4 minutes left in the game, something like that. Had several chances at it, fighting through fouls, fighting through injuries. There was so much fighting against the Tigers in this game, and yet they come back and win this thing. And certainly that is one of the bigger storylines of the night, and something that we should take a lot of pride in, that your Tigers are able to do this in such a unfamiliar environment out at the Maui Invitational. So many people jumping in here just to say great game, celebrating. Thanks to you guys so much for checking in here. TJ says, I feel like we bailed them out too much by fouling, but great comeback by the boys. Gotta love them. Let's certainly talk about the fouls. Because I saw a little bit of this being discussed at halftime. There was discussions about where the refs, affecting the course of the game. While I will acknowledge the amount of fouls that were called in this game on both sides, 18 for them, 23 for us. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Not a major one, but enough. Certainly, Both teams had a lot of things going on. I will say it never felt like things got out of hand, that maybe they weren't super chippy. There were a lot of fouls. There was a very physical game tonight. And certainly we bailed them out of several opportunities to either maintain their lead, to extend their lead, and really put us out of the game. But they weren't able to do it. Auburn was able to capitalize off of their very few opportunities that came and make the most of it with foul trouble and a few injuries that were starting to crop up throughout the game. Lots of other people just checking in here. WT says this is the type of game that preps the team for the tourney. I would say 2 games now have prepped them for the tourney. I don't want us to move into categories of hyperbole here, but when you start seeing things like this happen, this doesn't become a storyline. This becomes a trend. Now, I would say we'd probably need another instance of this before we start saying it's officially a trend, but we are heading in the right direction of figuring out how good this team can be. The fact that they are doing this, yes, at neutral sites, but more importantly, just on the road, away from what you're familiar with. You know, the ball bounces different in different environments, even if it's inside. All different things play into these things. It was an incredible game tonight by so many that we could talk about. And we certainly will talk about a few different people tonight. So Kevin's already getting us started here. Who is everybody's player of the game? Janai got player of the game, but CBM was the guy tonight. Seriously, let's everybody in the chat that's here right now, as you smash that like button when you come in, tell us who your player of the game is tonight. It's really easy to give it to Janai, especially since he is one of the best in college basketball, one of the best in the SEC, maybe the best, and he gets the big time winner. This is only building his legend a little bit. But I wonder, is there someone we have to thank a little bit more than that? And maybe some of you have already brought that up, like Kevin did here with CBM. One would argue that CBM gave up a technical foul that was borderline questionable for them to even call. He was very reasonable with how he handled it and stuff like that. But he responded by going down and making a basket, playing hurt the entire game. Frankly, I'm going to put mine in. You got to give credit to Janai, as so many of you are, but Chad, to me, because he went off while he was injured, is a great way to look at this thing. Both sides of the ball. CBM, a lot of you guys are saying should be the player of the game. It's hard not to give it our credit to Janai tonight. All right, let's walk through some stats, okay? I know we are going to dive into a bunch of other things. A lot of tough choices in that category tonight. Your top scorers tonight, and I'm actually kind of shocked that we got 5 into double digits. Yes, 5 total. Let's go through them. Your top scorer tonight, getting his double-double, Janai Broome, 21 points and 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 personal fouls, and 1 timeout. I'm shocked that he only had 1 personal foul tonight at the rate that fouls were being called. Janai definitely probably has the best overall stat line of the night, having a double-double and that game winner. Right behind him is Chad Baker-Mazara with 18. Then you've got Miles Kelly. Let me back up. Todd Pettiford with 14. And then Miles Kelly and Denver Jones both getting 12 to round out your top 5 scorers who are all in double digits. The only other people that scored tonight are Dylan Cardwell and Chaney Johnson. And Chaney Johnson was limited so much tonight. He only plays 10 minutes because of the foul trouble that he got into. So not only do you battle through adversity of just the pace of the games being affected with so many fouls being called, but also just they're legitimate fouls too. The injuries to certain players like CBM, but you are playing with lineups that you're not used to because Chaney's having to sit because he got so many fouls so quick. Same thing for Dylan at times tonight. People, I'm sure, are tired. We got a guy playing hurt the entire night. So much was off kilter tonight. So you have a lot to be impressed with these Tigers in their response. What do we always say? It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you that makes the difference. We can be philosophical about that in life and as simple as a basketball game. And certainly what you can take away, what I talked about at the very start of the show, 33 points for Auburn in the first half. Iowa State has 49. The complete reversal of that for the win. Auburn 50 points, 50 in the second half, and only 32 for Iowa State to result in that 83-81 win for the Tigers. That is an impressive feat tonight. Unsung hero, kudos going to Chris Moore. You are never going to hear me complaining about unsung heroes of Chris Moore. Chris Moore is a guy that is what would be considered a role player. He comes in to do a certain task, and he does it well and shows up and gets the job done. Certainly, I think we should always give recognition to guys like him. And Blake knows right to the heart of it for me. In big tournament games, free throws is the name of the game. Let's take a look at it. Y'all know how happy I'm going to be about this. Free throw percentage tonight by both teams, very good. Of course, there was a lot shot. 82% for Auburn, 83% for Iowa State. Congrats to both, but 82% for Auburn helped them climb back into this game. Huge. 18 of 22. Free throws win and lose championships. If you're not able to make your free throws, you will lose basketball games. That's the end of the discussion right there, and all that needs to be said. Great point. How does CBM and Broom's injuries affecting the next game? I didn't really get a good frame of reference for what happened with Janai, but certainly CBM seemed to be the one that was in the most discomfort. He will be sore tonight, I'm sure, but they will do their best to get them ready to go tomorrow night. Austin, my co-host for the Auburn Experience, is here. I was there, so the curse is broken. You were not there, because if you were there, I'm going to be very upset with you. Brent says, how impressive was it that we almost erased the deficit in the first segment of the second half? So that goes to two different things, right? Coaching, adjustments being made, right? All those different things. And then the players' response and execution of those adjustments, those changes, whatever or just motivating factors that was given to them to come out and respond so quickly. I think it was like 14 at the 30-minute mark. So 14 minutes, 30 seconds left is the first time that they score in the second half. Or I could have that wrong. I think they said that even confusing on the broadcast, but essentially they went a long period of time without scoring a bunch of buckets to let Auburn come back and go on a run to make the game of it tonight. Beaten Lake says Iowa State was another top 5 defense. We can say we've scored over 70 on both Houston and Iowa State, which is extremely impressive. This is certainly a feather in the cap for Auburn, no matter how you slice it, playing on the road, playing through adversity, but who you're doing this against. It's one thing to go down surprisingly against a team you're not supposed to lose to and then come back and win. It's another team to go down by teams that seem this early in the season to be this quality of teams. I'm going to be very intrigued to watch not only Houston, but now Iowa State the rest of the way. Certainly, we all need to be big fans of them and see how this shakes out for them the rest of the year, because that is going to continue to tell the tale of what this Auburn win in Maui could mean for them for the rest of the year. Still more celebrations piling in. Thank you guys for joining us and choosing to do that. I wouldn't approve of Austin's time off to go. I couldn't even approve myself, Austin. So, we had some cramps from Broom. We had whatever the issue was with Chad's knee, I believe. So certainly something to think about tonight, and obviously implications for the next game. Dalton wants to know, is it officially time to freak out? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Michael says that rebound at the end and put in by Broom was fantastic. The big guy was clutch. Look, folks, I know Auburn fans don't need the convincing of this, and I think most people who are covering college basketball recognize the greatness that is Janai Broom. But I don't think you need to if you're making an argument at this point that Janai is not one of the best players in college basketball, you're not watching this. You're not watching Auburn. You're not watching what the team is doing, but what he is doing in these moments when he is being called upon to be the finisher of the game. Janai tonight with the rebound, the putback in the waning seconds to get the win over Iowa State. Because I'm going to tell you right now, folks, when I saw us or them tie it up and figured, they didn't get that extra basket, I figured we were going to overtime and it was done. We had too many fouls. We were too tired. We were too hurt. We were going to slowly lose that game in overtime. which still wouldn't diminish the effort shown by Auburn in this game. But Janai finishes it when you need him to. Still plenty of people rolling in here and hanging out here. Let's see here. Will Broom get a statue? Well, we're really jumping over it. We're jumping the shark here, so to speak, tonight. All right, I can take it. We'll keep taking comments and questions as they arise appropriately. We have walked through the stats tonight of the individuals, and I want to keep in mind we have talked about the fouls. 4 players with 4 fouls tonight. Chad gets his late, but Cardwell and Chaney were limited all night because of their foul situation tonight. Oh, another little storyline. Jaheim Hudson gets in the game for the first time since the incident. So great to see him out there. And I want to give credit where credit is due to him. Made a beautiful pass inbounds to Todd Pettiford to set him up for a basket. So that's great to see from a big man, no less. So great to have him back out there and contributing in that way. Can we give some credit to Iowa State and give credit to Gilbert? When I was preparing my opening thoughts for you guys, my story was going to be Gilbert for Iowa State if we lost, because when Gilbert was out of the game, Auburn really maximized its comeback. When Gilbert was in the game, Iowa State was even more dangerous. And 23 points tonight for him, and we got him into some foul trouble. He ends up with 4, and that had to make him sit for a little bit. That was a crucial point in the game too, was being able to maximize while he was out of the game. So that's going to do it mainly for the individual stats tonight. What else stuck out to you guys? Stats, stories, drop it in the chat. We'll keep talking about it. Let's roll through some team statistics. I've already talked about a few of the things, but let's talk about my big 3. The ones that tell whether you're going to have a good shot at winning the game. Free throws, we've already talked about. 82% on the night, and 80% is my mark for me being satisfied. And I think this is the first time they have done that this season in Game 5. So great on them for doing that. Turnovers tonight started out very bad, and it's not great. 12 for us, 9 for them. We lose that battle, but certainly we cut that down and closed that gap to make it not such a big deficit. The points off of turnovers for Auburn is only 4, 19 for Iowa State. So one could make the argument that that almost was the tale of the tape tonight in terms of statistics. Rebounds is the other big 3 that I talk about. Auburn starts out the night losing in the rebounding category, but ends up winning it 35-27. On defensive rebounds, they win it, and offensive rebounds they win it. So there are your main stats, and that is why I believe Auburn won the game tonight. Doesn't necessarily mean it was the best stat tonight. I think individually, free throws is the best stat tonight because that's what champions do. Tommy just brings up 3-point shooting. 3-point shooting tonight, 33% for Auburn. So not outstanding, not horrible. Some very clutch threes made, especially in the second half to really help out and get that deficit down. So tonight, who's the leading 3-point getter? That would be Chad Baker-Mazara. I thought so. 3 for 4, 2 for 9 for Miles Kelly, 2 for 5 for Janai Broom, 2 for 5 for Todd Pettiford. So I think you put that another feather in the cap of Chad if you are going to pick him as the player of the game tonight. Other team stats that stick out, 47% across the board for Auburn, Iowa State. Folks, do you think we just watched an NCAA tournament game? I think we just did. It was speculated it was going to be that. There was a lot of talk that was going to be the reality. I think you just watched an NCAA tournament game, just in case y'all were wondering. So if you love this tonight, of course, the result is great. Get ready for this in March Madness. It's going to be fun. Now, I'm just saying that about Auburn and Iowa State. I'm just talking about college basketball. That is great. 47% for both of them tonight in the field. Other stats, let's see here that stick out to me. Bench points is 18 across the board for both teams. Points in the paint is in favor of Iowa State. Fast break points is in favor of Iowa State. So a lot of these other key stats are in Iowa State's favor, but yet Auburn still is able to mount a comeback. Auburn shares the ball very well again tonight, 14-12, winning that margin. So that's another night where Auburn, even with all these big men out there, they're sharing the ball very, very well. 3-pointers were very timely. But some of those shots were very unwise. I do think you're always going to have that with a Bruce Pearl team, right? He lets his guys be a little bit free and loose with their shooting, and that comes with the territory. And sometimes it's feast, and sometimes it's famine. I like how free he is with that personally, because that is what helped me be a successful 3-point shooter when I played, is having the ability to not feel like every time I took a chance on a 3-pointer that I was going to get chewed out by it. So certainly that does come with the territory. That first dunk by Dylan was very impressive. Great point tonight. So he doesn't have an overall great stat night. Misses a lot of minutes from that, but he's sitting up there at the top of the. Do you remember what I talked to you about Dylan in a few games ago? And I think I've done it every single game. Is Dylan is just a chill dude when it comes to moments of trying to make a decision in a tight spot, whether it's getting an offensive rebound underneath the basket and just not panicking with it and finding the guy to get it out for a 3-point shot. Tonight, he sits up there almost at the top of the key, can't find somebody. And then I honestly want to say there wasn't really much of a lane. He just kind of drives on in and throws it up in there. Dylan Cardwell's a great basketball player. I don't know how many of y'all don't see that. I mean, I think most of you do, but that was a great point to bring up tonight. Dylan's first dunk. Felt like a Final Four game? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Definitely a tournament game. I don't know about Final Four, but maybe. How did they do on second chance points? Great question, Tommy. We'll look at it. Second chance points is 14. How did I skip over that? 14 for Auburn, 2 for Iowa State, helping counteract some of the other areas where they won. Andy Burcham has to pace himself. Had another great call tonight. I do hate I didn't have them queued up tonight. So I was managing a couple things, so I was gonna get overstimulating if I had it all going on there. So yes, Andy is Andy's working hard. And I mean, we're sure he was there, right? Because that's a quick travel time for him. Michael giving hats off to the Cyclones. They're fighters and well coached. You will see them in March Madness. So I do not want to have to face them again. Brent's giving us something from ESPN Stats. Auburn is 4th team in the AP poll history since 1948 to 49 to start a season 5-0 with multiple top 5 wins, and the first to do so since Kansas in 1989-90. Clip it. That's the end of the show right there. That's amazing. The fact that you're mentioned in a stat that Kansas is in is one thing. The fact that you're doing this and can we talk about this? This moment doesn't happen if Bruce Pearl, Mike Burgermaster, the rest of his staff doesn't put together the schedule that they put together. So all of you that were lamenting about how scared you were about this, how do you feel right now? You want to get tested. You want to play in these games, and you might fail. You might fall on your face. You might end up with a record that you didn't want in non-conference play, especially. But boy, if you can put something special together, the rewards are so rich. And we ain't done yet. Great stat to bring up tonight. So thank you for sharing that with us. Jacob says that BP said these tough games would expose us. He did. I remember that from his pressers. We had a few areas where we need to get exposed tonight, but we were able to counter. I would say the area of being a little bit loose with fouls and what happens when all your big men are in foul trouble, except for one, Janai. We found a way to win, even with that. Let's see here. Looking around. Sees Latrell with a very long comment. I don't think I'll be able to bring that all up tonight. Okay, let me do this. We're not done. We'll take some more comments and questions. There are some questions about what's next. I will address those for you guys because I think it is important for the context of these next few days. So that'll be our first discussion coming back from this part. Let me give you the reminder. As a reminder, speaking of coming up next, we're going to be doing this tomorrow, folks. I believe it is at 11 o'clock is tip-off, and we are going to be doing a very late night show at 1 in the morning. I hope y'all are used to that because that'll be past midnight shows, 2 of those within 4 days for me with the post-game show after Auburn football. So be looking for that. I believe I have those times correct. We'll double check that. But the post-game show is going to happen. We will also do a post-game show when we find out times, opponent for Wednesday. That one may be a little bit loose because of my travel plans, but I certainly will do a post-game show for you at some point, hopefully right after that. Preview show for Alabama this Friday is the plan, so join us for that. Post-game show for Alabama, Auburn and Alabama, the Iron Bowl, right after the game on Saturday. So join us for that. So you got a lot to look forward to this week. Make sure you're subscribed, following, all of that good stuff right there. Okay. Let's talk about the rest of the bracket really quickly. I should have had this pulled up for you guys, and I apologize for not doing so. But let us take a look at everything that we have in front of us right now. So if you look at it, the bracket lays out, obviously, Auburn and Iowa State just played. Iowa State, and I don't mean this rudely, but Iowa State goes to the loser's side. Auburn goes to the winner's side. They will play the winner of Dayton and North Carolina, which should be getting started here soon if it's not already while we're doing the show. And so we'll know our opponent soon. Both teams are going to be tough, but I think you're rooting for Dayton if you don't want to face North Carolina. But that would be fun as well. No matter who you get to face. That game will be at 11 p.m. tomorrow night. Rest up, take a nap. We're going to do a post-game show, and I hope you guys can join us for it. So after that, if you win, you will play in the championship game at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. If you lose that, you will play in the third place game at 9:30 that evening. So you have afternoon and evening. Most everybody should be off work. Right now, the biggest story outside the other side of the bracket is that UConn was put into the losers bracket tonight. So Memphis looks like maybe, and Michigan State look probably like the teams to beat. But I'm sorry. Yeah, Michigan State beat Colorado, and Memphis, they will play each other. So that's who you've got to look forward to tomorrow. So boy, oh boy, so many people want Carolina. There you go. It would be fun. It would be fun because we're going to face Duke as well. So we could say we got them both if we can pull that off. Devin says we went from 2 to 3 in KenPom with the win. Can anyone confirm that and how? It's a lot of, I don't know how it all works. I do know it's a lot of science. And again, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it is certainly fun to talk about. But I won't be able to explain that one to you. Oh boy. Do we want Tom Izzo? Probably not. What do I always tell you guys? And when March Madness comes around for our bracket challenge, do not count out Tom Izzo. You do not. If there's anybody in this bracket you do not want, it is Tom Izzo. And I say that over UConn. You don't want him. You don't want him. You don't want him. All right. Final questions, comments, topics. We like to round these out about 30 minutes, but I got about a minute and change left. If anybody's got anything extra about this game, what you saw, players of note, or any moments that we missed tonight that we didn't talk about, certainly I want you guys to rest up and get geared up for tomorrow night and join us again. I know most of you can't stay up that late, but I hope you can. But certainly, please come back and watch the replay of that matchup tomorrow night with us. I'll be up, so you could join me if you want to. Another top 15 matchup. Why not? Let's play North Carolina. So many people want the Carolina matchup there. But as I said, and WT understands too, you do not want to face Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo knows how to win basketball games, no matter what the perception is about his Michigan State teams. Do not Izzo. Do not Izzo. do not wish for Izzo. I have a lot of respect for him as a head coach. But I would obviously enjoy that game if it does happen. As I told you guys, this Maui Invitational was going to be full of great teams, Auburn included in that, and we just watched one of those happen tonight. What a joy to watch. Auburn wins 83-81. Several players you can give notoriety to, especially Janai with the game winner. CBM, I think, gets the courage award, if not the game ball tonight. Free throws were great. The comeback in the second half is complete with switching the scoring that happened from first to second half. There is your stories. There's are your stats. And there's your score. Your Tigers are victorious. And we move on in the Maui Invitational winners bracket, which is a good thing to say with the first game that we had to take on. Thanks for joining us and hanging out with us. Till I talk to you again, War Eagle.